Hi there, Andre here from Peak Motorcycles. In this video I'm going to be fitting a steering damper to my Kove 450 Rally. Now if you buy the factory version, I think it comes with a Scott steering damper fitted. When I was out on it on one of my early rides, there's a bit of vibration from the front wheel. I think I have identified that to be the front wheel out of balance, which has now been fixed. Nevertheless, I had seen these advertised on AliExpress. They cost about £100 delivered to the UK. Looks quite a lot like a Scott damper, if I'm honest. It's got all the same adjustment features on it. What it does come with is the correct mounting post to fit the holes on the bike. And what I'll show you in a sec is there's actually where, because it's a steel frame, where the threads have been cut. There is actually, I can see sort of rust just from where moisture has got in from when I've been out riding the bike. So I was going to get some plugs to cover the holes, but I thought if I'm going to plug them, why not actually fit the steering damper and see how that works. Now, what I will do is I'll show you this on the table with what comes with it, but it essentially bolts to the underside of the handlebars under there. There's a bracket that goes on there, which does come with this. I'm not sure if I can get one of those from Scott. And it actually looks fairly well made. So here we go. So this is what you get. And like I said, it looks very similar to a Scott steering damper. Now, if you've never seen what one of these is, it's essentially, there's this damped arm on the back that goes through a pin in there, and inside here there is a valve, like you get in any sort of shock absorber, and some oil, and then depending on how you adjust this control here, it determines how firm and how hard it is to turn that bit. So the more you turn it up, the more damping, so the slower you have to turn the handlebars on a bike. It also has adjustments left and right to determine just how far lock to lock you can actually go. So that is it really. There's not a lot to show you with that. The other things that it came with, and this is probably the harder thing to get otherwise, is there is this post. So this is the bit that mounts to the Kove 450 Rally. Let's see what's in this bag. Yeah, and in here I have the bolts for securing it to the bike, and more importantly I have this pin. So the pin goes through there, one end goes into there, the other end goes onto there, and that is essentially what controls how the damping actually works on the bike. So yeah, not a lot to it really. I mean, it does feel quite sturdy. You know, I'm sure that there is some, well, it's a copy, right? I think we pretty much can see that. But it does feel quite well made. It's got a really nice finish that's on it. And I think the Scott dampers without the bike specific mount were coming in at something like £600 plus if I could get one. This was just over £100, and bearing in mind mine is just the standard bike, it's not the Rally, it's not the factory bike, which actually comes with a Scott damper. I don't need a £600 damper plus the mounting hardware. For £100 I'm willing to give it a try and just see what it's like. So true to form, I'm now going to weigh it just because some people are interested in that, so skip to the next bit if you are not. So the damper itself, 239 grams. The mounting posts, 272. Mounting hardware, whoops. Yeah, so it's the best part of 300 grams when you put all that together. That's it really. I will now go and fit it to the bike. So these are the mounting points for the post. That's the mounting point for the damper. As you can see in there, there's probably just that little bit of corrosion because it's a steel frame where those threads have been cut. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the mounting post into there. I'm pretty sure that the way this fits in is it just bolts sort of onto there like that, and then there's a couple of bolts with some lock washers to go on. I'm going to put a bit of thread lock on just because I think it's something that could move. You can see that with my hands in the way, but trust me, that's going in and it has some thread lock on it. Right, let's do the other side. So same again, bolt, washer, lock washer. So actually maybe before I tighten that up all the way, because there is a bit of movement there, I'll actually fit the damper to the bike and make sure the pin is in the right place. The pin just drops in there, like that. And then that is going to bolt in on the top of there, like that. Pretty straightforward really. Again, I'm just going to put some thread lock on these bolts before I prop them in. And for the damper itself, these bolts, they need a 5mm hex. For the ones for the mounting arm, that was just a 4mm. That does actually fit really well. As you know, I've had a bit of a mixed experience with some of these things, trying to get them on, especially my luggage rack. So I think the problem is that where the handlebar is, it's just stopping me from getting my hex key in quite the right place. So I might have to take the handlebar off to get this to go in properly. Let me check that those do go in nicely if they are in line. Yeah, so it's just basically I can't quite get that on, so I'm just going to have to take the handlebars off. That is going to take slightly longer, so bear with me for a moment. So these are a T40, or you can use a hex on them, like a regular spanner if you have one. But I'm going to use the Torx. I'm going to rest that there just for a moment. Pick up all those pieces in a sec once the damper's installed. It's just that the handlebars were in the slightly wrong place, so you do have to take the handlebars off to fit this. That feels pretty solid. And there is actually quite a lot of room for movement in there, so it's just going to tighten this back up. Okay, so now to refit the handlebars. It's quite an ingenious design. It's got a metal bar that fits on the underside, and that's the threaded piece. So if you do have a problem and you snap a bolt or something, that's kind of the sacrificial bit rather than having to replace the whole handlebar clamps. So that slots in underneath. Then there's these two nylon bushes that go across the top, well, between the lower clamp and the upper clamp, and then the bolts go in above that. So let me reassemble this. And I will torque all of these up to the manufacturer's torque afterwards. Everything on how to assemble all of this is in the full workshop service manual, which you can download for the bike, certainly from Kove Power here in the UK. So yeah, that is kind of it really. And as you can see, the arm down here kind of stays still while the handlebars move. So now I'm interested to see how that works out on a trail. Probably time for a test ride. And as you can see, I've got the steering damper installed. When I first put it on, I had it set to the softest setting with the least amount of damping. It meant I could move the bars pretty quickly, but I thought as I'm coming out for a road ride, I'll crank it up a bit. So I've turned it up to about halfway, and yeah, it does make a difference. I mean, it's not massive, as you'd expect. I mean, for road riding, it's not really needed. You know, unless you're doing a lot of high-speed stuff, maybe. You know, maybe there's a risk of a tank slapper or something. But yeah, it just feels a little bit more stable. I don't think I'd spend £600 on a Scott one, at least not for road riding. I'll see what it's like on a trail. But yeah, maybe £100 for one of these. It's not bad. Maybe that's worth spending a bit of money on. Anyway, so that was it really. It was just to give you a quick look at what it's like when it's installed. I've not done anything with the stops either side that can restrict how much turning you can do left and right. All of that I've left exactly as it came. But yeah, all in all, it seems to be doing what it's supposed to do and doing a decent job of it. Back to the garage. So that's it. That is my fairly short video, I hope, on how to fit the Savage steering damper to my Kove 450 Rally. Yeah, I know that it probably doesn't need it for the sort of riding that I'm doing, so before lots of people tell me I'm wasting my money, but somebody might be interested in it. It already had the mounting points for it. If you buy the factory bike, it comes with it fitted. And actually, you know, it does feel, you know, kind of nice with it on. I have steering dampers on my CB 1000R, and I've got one on the R1250 GS just because they happen to come with them. But yeah, I'll see how I go. Anyway, I hope that's been interesting and useful. If it has, please check out my other content, and maybe I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.